everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today is a long overdue video. It's been a while since I've done a significant book outlet haul, so I think we were due. So I still had gift cards from my birthday in June burning a hole in my pocket, and for some reason I just didn't really see much on the site that I wanted, or I just couldn't commit to like a $1 or $2 purchase. So this has been steadily accumulating. Now I got 2 boxes. I got one a couple days ago, and yeah, I've already rummaged through it, I'm gonna be honest. I mean, I kind of looked through the top couple books to remember what I bought, and then this new one came today, so I'm gonna open this one first because this is the new and exciting one, and I can't let it sit here for too long. That was me cutting the tape, not me farting. I don't know what that sounded like on camera, but to me it sounded like farting. I also have the maturity level of a 13-year-old boy, so welcome to my life. So here we go, packing slip, paper, paper. They're starting to do this thing, I know, the Lily Post thing. It's like a kid's picture book subscription box thing. That'd be cool if I had a kid. I don't have a kid, so... So the first book that I'm pulling out of the box is Althea and Oliver, and this is by Christina Morocco. And it has a lot of good authors blurbed on it, and it sounds like a really cool contemporary with a little bit of a twist. This follows 2 friends, obviously Althea and Oliver, who have been friends since they were very little kids, and during junior year, Althea kind of tells Oliver that she wants to be more than friends with him, but Oliver wants to keep things the way that they are. And then the next day, or very soon after that, Oliver wakes up and loses his memory for the past 3 weeks. And obviously this is an issue, so he goes to a neurological retreat type thing to figure out what happened, and Althea kind of follows him to apologize, I think, for the proclamation of love, but also I think something happened between them that he doesn't remember, and she feels a tremendous amount of guilt. So it's kind of their friendship and coming of age and learning life and stuff, so it just sounded really cool to me. The next book is another book that I've had my eye on for a while, and it's going to be kind of similar to the first one, but this one is Emmy and Oliver, and this is by Robin Benway, and I feel like there's going to be a theme in this box, because I know there's another book that is something and something. I don't know. But I mainly was really intrigued by this because this is about 2 friends who have been friends for a very long time, but Oliver was kidnapped 10 years ago by his father, and when he returns, he kind of has to come to terms with what happened to him because he didn't really realize how criminal it was and how much of a big deal it was to everybody and how much of a big deal it should have been to him. And Emmy kind of wants things to pick up where they left off when they were kids, and it's just another coming-of-age tale with a twist. This is a very similar sounding story, so I'm very excited for this. And the next something and something book is First and Then, and this is by Emma Mills. I mainly love this cover. When everybody was hauling this book, I was so jealous because I wanted it so badly, but this just sounds like a very sweet contemporary. I think it can kind of fall into middle grade or the tween genre, but it sounds like a very stereotypical high school contemporary read, which I love a lot. It's pretty much about a girl who's living the average teen life and is loving life when her cousin comes out of nowhere and kind of steals the scene and is kind of an outcast type character. It's described as Pride and Prejudice meets Friday Night Lights, and that's super appealing to me. The next book is a book that I have been wanting for so long, pretty much since it came out last year, and the sequel just came out, and I really want to read the sequel also, but that is Tiny Pretty Things, and I'm not going to try and pronounce the 2 authors' names because I'm not even going to come close to them, and it will just be all kinds of bad. But I know that this pretty much follows a very prestigious ballerina school, and it follows multiple perspectives. And this also could have been an amazing book to read during Diversathon because I know it focuses on a bunch of different ethnicities and cultures in the ballerina school, but obviously some very snooty type things can occur because it's a very rich school and it's a very snobby school. Obviously it's a whole bunch of rivalry of people competing to be the prima ballerina, so it just sounds like oodles of fun to me. The next book that I picked up sounds very interesting to me, and it is Roses and Rot by Kat Howard. This just sounds so cool. Also, it is blurbed by Neil Gaiman on the cover, so instantly sold on this book. But this follows Imogen and her sister Marin as they go to an artist retreat, and they're using this as an escape from their very cruel stepmother. And obviously this is gonna have fairy tale-esque vibes. Imogen has pretty much lived her life reading very dark fairy tales and wishing that her life was one, so that maybe there would be some happy ending for her cruel stepmother life. And as she gets accepted into a very prestigious art school, fairy tales kind of start to come true, but it sounds very dark. It kind of sounds like what artists will give up of themselves to create art. So this whole fairy tale and artist and dark and Neil Gaiman, everything sounds great about this book. The next book that I picked up has been one that kind of pops up on the site and sells out very quickly, so I finally got my chance. I finally got Walk the Earth a Stranger by Ray Carson, and I am so excited. I've been wanting to read this for so long. I know you probably have all already read it or already heard about it, but in case you didn't, this is about a girl in the California Gold Rush era who has the ability to detect gold, so obviously she's a hot commodity in this community. And the sequel, I believe, is coming out next month, and they just sound so good. I've heard nothing but amazing things about it. Ray Carson is an amazing writer, so I'm so glad to finally have this. And y'all are gonna laugh at me over this next book, but I am ridiculously excited about it, and it is Paint by Sticker. Okay, you know how the whole adult coloring book thing is like a huge craze, and there's also a little bit of adult connect the dots coming out, which hurts my eyes. If you've ever flipped through one of those like adult versions of connect the dot books, I have no idea how you would not go blind doing that. This is like a paint by number thing, but with stickers. Like you get the stickers, and they're all really tiny little geometric shapes, and then you stick them on this blank thing with numbers. Because do you remember paint by numbers as a kid? Because they were the best thing ever. And of course I happened to flip to the horse page. That's pretty fitting for me. I really wanted this, but I haven't wanted to spend the like $15 cover price in store, so when it showed up on Book Outlet, I kind of did a happy dance. Stop judging me. I'm gonna move on to the next box now. Getting into box number 2, the first book is A Fierce and Subtle Poison, and this is by Samantha Mabry. This is a book that I talked about, I believe, in like a releases video, and I have just been so intrigued by it since then, and I haven't seen anybody talk about it or review it, so I bought it to do so. This is set in a Caribbean island that has a legendary girl on it who has green skin, her hair is made of grass, and she eats all of the poisonous weeds on the island and is poisonous to touch. And there's just a lot of local lore about this girl. So we were following her story, and we were following Lucas, who moves to the island with his dad, who I believe is developing a hotel chain, who has also heard of the legend of this girl, and their paths cross, and that just sounds great. It sounds like a very different and diverse book that I haven't really heard much about, so I really wanted to try it. Also, look at that cover. Just look at it. It reminds me of like a very green tropical version of Wink Poppy Midnight. I just love plant stuff. I just like it. The next book that I picked up is another book that I haven't really seen much about, but it just sounded very cool, and that is called The Beast Keeper, and this is by Kat Hellison. This, I'm not sure if it's middle grade or not, but this follows Sarah, who has been on the run with her family for as long as she can remember, and she knows that they're kind of running away from the family's history of magic, which of course is enticing to her because what kid wouldn't want magic? And something happens and her mother leaves and magic starts to kind of influx into the family. And during this influx of the magic, her father starts to transform into a beast, and while he is starting to undergo this transformation, he sends her to live with these grandparents that she's never met before. And while she's there, she starts to learn about the curse and the magic within her family. So I think this is a Beauty and the Beast retelling, but instead of a love between Beauty and the Beast, it's a fatherly love. So I think that's going to be a very interesting take on the story, and I'm very excited to see what I think of it. The next book that I picked up is Fragile Spirits, and this is by Mary Lindsay. I have the first book of this series, or duology I think it is, that's called Shattered Souls. I haven't read it yet because I've been wanting to get the second one. All I know about this is it's kind of a paranormal romance, which, I mean, sometimes you just need that in your life. But it follows a girl who I believe is kind of a medium between souls or spirits, and it's, I believe, the romance between her and her legendary protector, the guy who is assigned to protect this girl. I'm assuming the romance that ensues from there. This is pretty much a Japanese samurai fantasy story mashup with steampunk. That sounds great. Everything about that sounds great. Also, it's blurbed by Patrick Rothfuss, and thank you, Jordan, for pointing that out to me. I will link Jordan's channel down below in case you guys want to check it out. Because that alone sold me on this series. If Patrick Rothfuss blurbs something, I will read it. So I'm pretty excited to see what I think about these. The next book that I picked up was a total impulse buy, and I do not regret it whatsoever, and that is The Dinosaur Lords by Victor Milan. This is described as George R.R. Martin, like Game of Thrones, meets Jurassic Park. Yep. That's all I gotta say to win me over on a book. This is supposed to be an epic high fantasy story set in a world where instead of like your legendary dragons or horses and steeds, you ride dinosaurs. Like legit dinosaurs. That's all I gotta know about the story. That's literally all I read in the synopsis because everything else blurred past my mind once I saw the word dinosaurs. So, I'm pretty stoked about this. Also, look at that badass cover. That's all I got. I'm so excited for this. The next book I got, I think a lot of people have been hauling recently. It went in one of their 50 for 50 sales that they do, like the 50% off 50 titles things. And it's just been very interesting to me, and it's kind of sat in my cart for a while, so I finally got it. And that is All the Birds in the Sky by Charlie Jane Anders. And this just sounds so cool. I thought it was going to be something completely different than what it was, so let me try and explain this to you. This is an adult fiction book that is set in the future after the development of magic and 2-second time machines have been developed, and we are following two characters who were very good friends a long time ago, who have kind of split off and gone their separate ways. One is an engineer who is trying to help develop something to divert the cataclysmic technological collapse of society, basically. And the other is a girl who is in the Academy of Magic. So we're following kind of the magic and the science aspects, and their paths start to cross, and I'm assuming they're gonna kind of save the world, but this just sounds so good. I've heard nothing but amazing praise about the writing in this book. It's supposed to be beautiful, and I'm just so excited to dive into this. The next book that I got was kind of a whim purchase, and that is the Area X bind-up. I think this is called the Southern Reach Trilogy. It's a bind-up of Annihilation, Authority, and Acceptance, and you'll probably recognize the covers of those if you want to look them up. It's where the word is like kind of broken up into like 3 letters, 3 letters, 3 letters, or whatever. But this story just sounds so appealing and like something that is right up my alley. It's kind of about Area X, this very remote location where different expedition teams have gone in over the years to kind of research it and find out what they can about this area, and all of them have mysteriously fallen. One expedition team committed a mass suicide, another all were murdered by each other, like they all killed each other, and the last team that actually made it out of the area immediately contracted a very aggressive and fatal form of cancer and all died. So, something bad's going on there, and we are following the next expedition team, one that I would never have signed up for had I known the history of this area. But we are following a team of, I think, 4 or 6, one of those numbers, women who are going in, who are all different types of scientists to research the area. I've heard very mixed things about this. I mainly was intrigued by the story because of Julie from A Girl in a Book, and I will leave her channel linked down below as well. But she kind of had mixed feelings about this, so I'm kind of gonna give it my own go and see how it goes. I just think this is a very cool bind-up of them, and they're somewhat shorter reads. Like, this is kind of a chunky book, but it's a whole trilogy, so I don't think it'll take me that long. So we'll see. And the last book that I picked up was Where Futures End by Parker P.V. House. And I was gonna read you the whole inside flap thing, but that would go on for way too long. But the tagline for this is 5 teenagers, 5 futures, 2 worlds, 1 ending. And it follows a huge timeline. It follows a person a year from now, 10 years from now, 30 years from now, 60 years from now, and more than 100 years from now. All of which are interconnected, and how one parallel universe can kind of affect another one or save the downfall of another one, and it sounds very sci-fi-y. I thought it was gonna be kind of like a YA Cloud Atlas, but I'm getting more of a sci-fi vibe from this just because of the time that it spans and the whole parallel universe type thing and how technology is going to affect things. So I will let you guys know what I think about this. Tommy Wallach, the guy who wrote We All Looked Up, described it as one of the most ambitious YA novels I've ever read. I mean, that'll sell me on a book right there. That's some good praise for a book. So we shall see how this goes. And that's it. This was a long one. I hope you guys had a snack for this video. If not, I'm sorry. You should probably go eat dinner now or whatever meal is next because this was a doozy of a video. But that is it. That was like 16 books, I think, to add to my shelf. That's like an entire shelf of books, Chelsea. Okay, well, hopefully that'll time me over till like Christmas time. We'll see. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope you were reading some amazing books, and I'll see you guys next time.